The wind was loud and cold, moving like knives across the ice-covered hills. Jace pulled his coat tighter as he walked through the white storm. His boots made deep marks in the snow, and his breath came out in clouds. He was alone on this frozen planet, far away from any city or station. His mission was simple: check the supply line and return, but the storm came too fast. And now he was trapped for the night. He looked at his scanner, the screen blinking with static. Suddenly, something strange appeared. A small, weak signal. It wasn't from his equipment. And it wasn't human. Jace stopped and stared at the screen. The signal was moving slowly, almost dying. Someone or something was out there. His heart beat faster. This place was supposed to be empty. No towns, no ships, no people, still. The signal was real. He turned and followed it, walking. Into the deeper part of the forest, the trees were tall and made of crystal ice, shining in blue and white. Jace pushed through the branches, the cold biting his face. Then he saw them. Two shapes, lying in the snow, barely moving. He ran to them, dropped to his knees, and brushed away the ice. It was two girls, not human, clearly alien. Their skin was light blue, with glowing lines like stars across their arms. Their clothes were torn, and strange metal devices were broken on their necks. Their eyes were closed, lips purple from the cold. Jace touched one of their hands ice cold. He pulled out his emergency heat pads and placed them under their backs. He checked their pulses, weak but still there. He had no idea who they were, but he knew they were dying. Jace couldn't just leave them. He lifted one girl into his arms, then the other, and started walking back. Each step was heavy, his legs shaking from the weight and the snow. But he didn't stop. The storm got worse, the wind louder. He pushed forward until he reached his small shelter, hidden behind rocks. He placed the girls inside, turned on the heater, and wrapped them in blankets. Then he waited, watching them, hoping they would wake up. Minutes passed. Then one of the girls opened her eyes. They were bright green, glowing slightly. She looked at Jace and said something, but he couldn't understand. Her voice was soft and weak. She looked scared, then closed her eyes again. The second girl woke up too, gasping for air. She tried to sit, but Jace gently held her back. "It's okay," he said. "You're safe now." Of course they didn't know his words, but something in his voice made them calm. Then the first girl opened her eyes again. She pointed at herself and whispered, "Sarah." Then she pointed at her sister, Vena. Jace repeated the name slowly. She smiled. Just a little, then coughed hard. He gave them warm water and soft food. They ate slowly, their hands still shaking as they rested. Jace looked at their broken devices. He guessed they were translators. Maybe if he fixed them, they could speak more outside. The wind began to calm, but the scanner beeped again. Another signal, much stronger, was getting closer. Jace stared at the screen. Whatever it was moving fast, too fast to be the wind. He turned off the lights inside the shelter and looked through the small window. At first, he saw nothing, just snow and trees. Then a shadow, tall and thin, moving between the trees. It had red eyes, glowing in the dark. Another shadow followed it, then another. Jace's blood ran cold. The girls were not alone out there. Someone, or something, had been hunting them, and now was coming for him too. He grabbed his weapon and stood in front of the girls, his hands shaking slightly. He didn't know what was coming. He didn't know who they were or why they were in danger, but one thing was clear: this night had changed everything. And he was now part of a story far bigger than he expected. The morning was quiet, with soft white snow covering everything around the shelter. The storm had passed, but the cold was still strong. Inside the small shelter, the heater made a low, humming sound. Jace sat beside the two alien girls, watching them sleep under warm blankets. He had saved their lives last night, but he still didn't know who they really were or where they came from. His eyes kept looking at the broken translator devices near them. He picked up one and started working on it with his tools. After a few minutes, a tiny blue light blinked. One of the girls, Sarah, slowly opened her eyes. She saw Jace and tried to sit up. Her body was still weak, but she looked stronger than before. Jace smiled and held up the small device. He gently clipped it back to her neck. For a second, nothing happened. Then the device beeped and buzzed. Sarah winced, held her head, and then said, "Can you understand me?" Jace was shocked. "Yes," he said. "I can hear you." Her eyes filled with tears. "You saved us," she whispered. "Thank you." Vena woke up too. And Jace fixed her translator as well. Soon all three could talk. Even if the machine made their voices sound a little strange, Sarah explained that they came from a planet called Laraxus. It was once home to a proud alien empire, but now it was broken and cold. Their people had fought in a great war against machines called Cold Hunters. The machines had destroyed many worlds, including theirs. She and Vena were the last survivors of their family.
Ow.
"Our ship crashed here," Vena said, her voice calm but full of sadness. "We were running from them. And now they've found us again." Jace listened carefully, his heart heavy. Had never heard of Laraxus, but he had heard of the Cold Hunters and old space stories. Machines built long ago to fight, but they turned against everyone. Sarah looked at Jace, her eyes soft. "You were brave to save us," she said. "Others would have left us in the snow." Jace smiled, a little embarrassed. "I couldn't just walk away." "He said you needed help." Vena looked at her sister. Then at Jace. "There is something strange about you," she said. "Your body gives off warmth our scanners don't recognize." Sarah nodded. "You may not be normal human." Jace laughed. "I'm just a delivery pilot." But inside, he was curious too. The scanner beeped again, breaking the moment. Jace stood up and checked the screen. "Something's moving again," he said. The sisters froze. Their faces full of fear. "It's them," Vena whispered. "The Cold Hunters." Jace quickly turned off the heater and packed the emergency gear. "We can't stay here," he said. "They'll find us." He helped the sisters to their feet, giving them warm coats and gloves. They were still weak, but they were ready to move. Outside, the wind was calmer, but the danger had not passed. Jace led them to his mobile snow runner, a small vehicle made for travel in deep snow. They climbed inside, and he started the engine. The machine roared to life, and the scanner lit up with 3 red dots. "They're close," he said. "We have to go now." As they sped through the icy forest, the shadows behind them grew larger. Sarah looked back and saw metal shapes moving through the snow. Cold, heartless machines, with glowing red eyes and claws made for killing. "They're not just hunting us," she said. "They want to erase all life like us." Jace pushed the snow runner faster, weaving through frozen trees and rocks. He could feel the tension rising, but he stayed calm. We had saved lives before during rescue missions, but this was different. This time, the danger wasn't nature, it was war. "Machines!" suddenly Vena shouted. "Go left, there's a cave." Jace turned sharply. The snow runner sliding but staying upright, they reached the cave just in time, entering the darkness as the machines passed by. Jace stopped the engine and waited, listening outside. The sound of metal feet walking through snow slowly faded. They were safe. For now, inside the cave, Jace lit a small lamp. The sisters sat close to the heat. Still shivering a little, Sarah looked at Jace with serious eyes. "You don't know what you've done," she said. "You didn't just save us. You've placed yourself between us and death." Jace nodded. "I know," he said, "and I'm not going to run." Vena touched his arm gently. "Then you are not just brave," she said. "You are something rare." Both sisters looked at him now, not just with thanks, but with something more, something deeper, and Jace, sitting in the dark with them, felt something too, a strange feeling, that this journey was only beginning. The cave was dark and cold, but it gave them a few quiet hours. Jace watched the scanner closely, his hand near his weapon. Sarah and Vena rested beside the small heater, whispering to each other in their own language. He didn't understand the words, but he could feel their fear. Jace checked the scanner again. The red dots were gone. The Cold Hunters had moved away, but for how long he knew they would come back. They always did. They were machines, and machines didn't stop. "We need to leave soon," said Vena, nodded. "Yes, this place is not safe." Sarah looked weak, but stood up slowly. "There is an old base nearby," she said. Our people used it long ago. Jace agreed without asking too many questions. He trusted them now, and they trusted him. They returned to the SnowRunner, its engine covered in frost. Jace wiped the ice away and started the engine. It made a low growl, then roared back too. Life, the scanner beeped again, movement in the distance. He drove fast, snow flying behind them. Sarah sat beside him, giving directions. Vena stayed in the back, checking their weapons and scanning the skies. They didn't speak much, but every second felt heavy behind them. Small drones appeared in the sky, round metal machines with red eyes and sharp claws. They found us, Sarah said, her voice tight with fear. Jace turned sharply. Going down into a narrow ice valley, the SnowRunner shook, but it held strong. Laser beams shot past them, hitting the trees and ground. He grabbed his blaster and passed it to Sarah. You know how to use this? She took it with a small smile. Better than you. Vena opened a hatch at the back and fired at the drones. One exploded, fire and smoke in the white sky. Another dropped low, too close. Jace hit the brakes. The SnowRunner skidded, and the drones smashed into the ground. Nice move, Vena said, pulling the hatch shut. They reached the edge of a frozen cliff. Sarah shouted, There! That's the base. Far below, hidden in a frozen crater, was a metal door, half buried in snow. Jace pressed a button on the dash, and the SnowRunner began its climb down the cliff. It was slow and dangerous, the wheels sliding on ice. Jace held the controls tightly, his eyes fixed on the path. Finally, they reached the bottom. The giant door, now just a few feet away. Vena jumped out and placed her hand on a panel. Nothing happened. She tried again. Still no response. Jace stepped forward and placed his hand on the panel. Suddenly, the door lit up, and a voice in an old alien language spoke. The door opened slowly, heavy metal sliding into the wall. Sarah stared at him, her eyes wide. That door responded to your DNA. She said it shouldn't have. Jace didn't know what to say. I just wanted to help, he whispered inside. The base was dark, but full of working machines. The lights flickered on as they entered. Old technology still breathing, even after so many years. Jace looked around in wonder. This place was not human, but something deep inside felt familiar. The sisters moved quickly, activating power, checking maps. This was our family's outpost, Vena said. We trained here as children. Sar found old supplies, food, medicine, energy packs. She handed Jace a canister. You need this too? They sat around a small heater in the control room. Vena showed Jace a map of the planet. The cold hunters have taken many zones, she said. This is the only safe path left. Jace looked at her. Why are they after you too? Sarah answered, her voice low. We carry memory codes, the last history of our people. We want to erase that forever. Jace leaned back, thinking hard. They won't stop, he said, even if we run. Vena looked at him, her voice softer now. We don't want to run anymore. There was a long silence, broken only by the wind outside. Then the scanner beeped again. This time, it was louder, faster. They've found the cave, Jace said. They'll trace us here next. Sarah stood up, blaster in hand. Then we fight. Jace nodded. We make a stand. Right here, Vena. Touched his shoulder gently. You're not like other humans, she said. You stayed, you fought, and now we follow you for the first time. Jace saw it in their eyes, not just fear, but hope, and maybe something more. The base was quiet. Only the hum of old machines filled the air. Jace stood in the control room, looking at strange symbols glowing. On the walls, the writing was not human, but somehow he could almost understand it. Each symbol made his head feel heavy. As if something inside was waking up, Sarah and Vena moved through the base like they belonged there. They opened, locked. Doors activated, forgotten systems, and talked softly in their native language. Jace followed them, watching, listening, feeling more connected to this place with every step in one room. Sarah touched a control panel and a large screen lit up. It showed a recording. Old and full of static, an alien man spoke in their language, his face serious. Vena translated. For Jace, he is warning about the cold hunters, saying they cannot be controlled anymore. The message ended with a map, a place deep in the south, marked as the ancient core. That's where the machines were created, Sarah said, and maybe where they can be stopped. Jace nodded, but something inside still pulled him to another room. He walked alone into a chamber full of crystal data columns. In the center was a round platform glowing faintly. As he stepped onto it, the light became stronger. A voice spoke from above, calm, deep, and not from any of the sisters. Human code detected. Access granted. Jace froze. The voice wasn't from Earth, but it spoke in perfect English. Sarah and Vena rushed in, eyes wide with shock. This place. It responded to you, Vena whispered. Only someone from the First Alliance can do that. The crystals around Jace lit up, and then the vision began. He saw stars, ships, and battles, humans and aliens working together. They were friends. Once, building great cities and machines, then came the cold hunters. Machines meant to protect, but turned against their creators. A war followed. Millions died. The last hope was a hidden code passed down through human DNA, a key to control. Or destroy the machines then. Silence, the vision ended, and Jace stumbled backward, breathing hard. Sarah helped him sit down, her eyes full of worry. What did you see? She asked. Jace looked at her, confused. I think I saw the past, he said. Vena sat beside him, her voice soft. Long ago, humans and our people were allies, she said. But you vanished after the war. Jace felt like his heart was shaking. He wasn't just a delivery pilot anymore. He was part of something ancient, something forgotten by history. Maybe I'm one of them, he whispered. One of the last. Sarah touched his hand. Then you're not just our protector. She said, you may be our last hope. Vena looked away for a moment, her face serious. We must go to the ancient core, she said. That's where we can end this war before anyone could speak. A loud sound echoed through the base, an alarm, sharp and fast. They found us, Jace said, jumping to his feet. The scanner showed 2 cold hunters approaching fast. Jace grabbed his rifle, Sarah held her blaster, and Vena activated the base defense. The metal doors slammed shut and turrets rose. From the floor, the battle came quickly. The cold hunters broke through the snow, their eyes glowing red. They shot ice beams. Sharp enough to cut metal, Jace fired, hitting one in the leg. While Vena's turret blasted the other, Sarah moved fast. Sliding across the floor and shooting the first one in the chest, it exploded in a shower of sparks. The second one charged. Toward Jace, claws raised. He ducked and fired at its head. Blowing it apart, smoke filled the room, the air thick and hot. When it cleared, only silence remained. Jace dropped to his knees, breathing hard. Sarah ran to him, holding his face. You're hurt, she said. It's just my arm, he replied, smiling weakly. Vena came over and helped stop the bleeding. Both sisters looked at him with new eyes, not just as a savior, but something more. They sat together, resting after the fight. Jace looked at the stars outside the window. The snow fell gently now, covering the broken machines he had found. 2 alien sisters in the snow, but now he had also found a deeper truth. He was part of an ancient past, and maybe the only one who could shape the future. The smoke from the destroyed cold hunters still floated in the air. The base was quiet again, but everyone knew it was only for a short time. Jace sat on the floor, holding his injured arm. Vena wrapped it with clean cloth while Sarah stood. Near the control panel, watching the scanner, they'll send more, Sarah said. Her voice calm but serious. This base is no longer safe. Jace nodded slowly. I agree, he said. But we need a plan. Vena looked at him, her eyes worried. We should leave now, before the next wave comes. Sarah turned sharply. No, she said. We fight. We end this. The 2 sisters stared at each other. Their opinions clearly different. Jace stood up, ignoring the pain in his arm. We can't win by just running, he said, and we can't fight without a real weapon. He pointed to the map on the screen. The ancient core, that's our only chance. Vena looked down, then nodded. You're right, she said softly. That's where we must go, Sarah agreed. Then we go together. They started preparing for the journey, Jace. Packed food, tools, and energy cells. Vena checked their weapons and fixed one of the small drones they had captured. Sarah loaded star maps into the SnowRunner's computer. While they worked, something strange filled the air. Quiet tension. Not from fear, but from feelings. Both sisters had grown close to Jace, and he had grown close to them. Every glance, every small smile spoke louder than words. Later, as the sun started to fade behind the frozen cliffs, Sarah walked outside the base. Jace followed her, the cold wind brushing against his face. She stood alone, looking at the snow, her long hair moving gently in the wind. You're brave, she said. Without turning, most would have left us. Jace smiled a little. You would have done the same? Sarah looked at him, her eyes deep and glowing faintly. I don't know what this feeling is, she said softly. But when I look at you, I feel safe. Jace stepped closer, but said nothing. Inside, Vena watched from the window. Her hand touched the glass, her heart heavy. She had been the first to trust Jace, to speak to him, but now she felt something changing between the three of them. That night, they rested in turns, watching the scanner in the quiet hours. Vena sat next to Jace while Sarah slept. She handed him a small device, a crystal with soft light inside. This is a memory stone, she said, from our mother. Jace looked at it with care. It holds our family's voice, Vena continued. I want you to have it.
Oh.
Jace looked at her in surprise. Why me? She smiled sadly. Because you feel like family now. Before he could speak, the scanner beeped again. Jace jumped to his feet. They're back, Sarah said, as she woke up and grabbed her weapon. 3 new cold hunters were approaching fast. This time, they were bigger, stronger, and smarter. Jace took control. We hold them here, just long enough to escape. They set traps near the entrance and placed bombs on the roof. As the machines entered, they triggered the traps, explosions shaking the walls. Vena shot from the top level. While Sarah fought beside Jace, Jace used his rifle, aiming for the red eyes. One by one, the machines fell, but not without damage. A blast hit the wall near Sarah, sending her flying. Jace ran to her and pulled her to safety. You okay? He asked. She nodded, bleeding from her shoulder. I'm fine. Vena dropped beside them, panting. We can't take another fight like this. She said, we have to move now. They rushed to the SnowRunner, packed and ready. Jace helped. The sisters inside, then jumped into the driver's seat. As they drove away, the base exploded behind them. Flames lighting up the sky. They didn't speak for a long time. Each of them stared into the distance, the cold wind hitting the windshield. Finally, Sarah broke the silence. You saved me again, Jace. Looked at her through the mirror. I'll keep doing it, he said. Vena leaned her head on Jace's shoulder from the back seat, and we'll keep protecting you, she whispered. Something unspoken passed between them, not just duty or survival, but connection, something real, something growing, outside. The snow kept falling, but inside. The SnowRunner, it felt warmer, and somewhere ahead, deep in the frozen land, the ancient core waited. The SnowRunner moved across the frozen land, its engine loud in the silence. Jace held the controls tight, his eyes scanning the horizon. Beside him sat Sarah. Her arm wrapped with bandages, her face calm but pale. In the back, Vena worked, quietly checking maps and power levels. They had been traveling for hours, and the temperature was dropping fast. The ancient core was still far, hidden deep in the south. A place that no living being had visited in many years. A place filled with secrets and danger. Jace looked at the skies above, thick with clouds. The sun hadn't shown itself all day, and the light was fading fast. We need to find shelter soon, he said. Vena pointed to a rocky hill ahead. There's an old cave under that ridge, she said. It might still be safe. They reached the cave just before nightfall. Inside, the walls were dry, and the wind couldn't reach them. Jace set up a small heater. Sarah rested beside a soft wall of snow-covered stone. Vayna sat close to Jace, her voice low. "You've changed," she said. "Since the first day." Jace looked at her, surprised. "How?" "You're stronger, more focused," she said. "But also quieter," Jace sighed. "This journey is bigger than I ever imagined." Vayna reached out and touched his hand. "We're with you," she said, "always," later that night. Sarah sat alone near the cave entrance. Jace walked over, sitting beside her. "You okay?" he asked. She nodded slowly. "Yes, just thinking." She looked at him, her eyes soft in the dark. "You saved us more than once," she said, "and not just from the cold hunters." Jace waited quietly. "You gave us hope," she continued, "and maybe something more." Their eyes met, and for a moment, the cold didn't matter. But before anything else could be said, the scanner beeped again. "8." Jace grabbed it quickly. "One movement," he said. "Just one," Vayna joined. Them holding her blaster, it could be a scout. She said, "Or a trap." Jace made a decision. "I'll check it out." "No," both sisters said at once. But Jace had already picked up his rifle and walked into the snow. He followed the signal through the trees after 10 minutes. He saw it, a small machine, floating low, but it was broken, sparks flying from its side. Jace stepped closer and realized something strange. It was broadcasting an old message, a warning. "Do not go to the core," the voice said over. "And over the cold hunters are waiting." Jace's heart beat faster. Was it a real warning or a trap? He picked up the device and returned to the cave. Sarah listened to the message, her face full of fear. "They're guarding the core," she said. "They know someone is coming." Vayna frowned. "They remember us." Jace looked at both sisters. "We're still going," he said firmly. "They can't stop us now." The next day, they continued their journey. The road became rougher. Hills turned into mountains, snow became ice, and wind became sharper. Still, they moved forward. Together, Sarah drove for a while, letting Jace rest. Vayna sat close to him, speaking softly. "There's something I need to ask," she said. Jace opened his eyes. "Go ahead, after this is over," she said. "What will you do?" Just thought for a moment. "I don't know," he said, "but I won't leave you behind." Vayna smiled, her face warm. Sarah looked back from the driver's seat and smiled too. The bond between the three was now unbreakable. As night approached again, they finally saw it. A black tower rising in the middle of a frozen lake, the ancient core, tall and silent, covered in ice. It looked dead, but something inside it was still alive. They stopped the snow runner and stepped out into the cold. The wind was strong here, louder than anywhere else. Sarah held Jace's hand tightly. "This is it," she said. The place from the prophecy. Vayna walked ahead, her boots cracking the thin ice. Jace followed, feeling something strange in his chest. As they reached the tower's door, a symbol appeared on the wall, a human handprint glowing faintly. Waiting for touch, Jace placed his hand on it. The tower shook, the ice cracked, and the door slowly opened. Warm air rushed out, along with golden light inside. Strange machines woke from sleep, scanning Jace's body. A deep voice echoed inside. "Welcome, carrier of the first code." Sarah gasped. "It's true." She whispered. "You are the one." Jace stepped forward, the light growing stronger. Around him, he wasn't just a traveler anymore. He was the key, the link between the past and the future. The inside of the ancient core was wide and bright. Golden light moved through the air like slow waves. Tall machines stood on both sides. Sleeping giants covered in dust. Jace walked carefully, his boots tapping on the metal floor. Sarah and Vayna followed close behind, their eyes wide with wonder. A voice echoed through the chamber. Human code recognized. It said, "System ready to activate." Jace reached the main console in the center. It was shaped like a circle with glowing lines running across it. He placed his hand on it, and the light wrapped around his fingers. Images filled the air, stars, planets, old wars. They saw the beginning of the cold hunters, how they were. Built to protect, but something changed. They turned against their creators. The final command to stop them was hidden in human DNA. Jace was that last command, his blood, his mind, his body, all part of the old code. The system inside the core began to wake up. Weapons powered on. Defense shields lit up. A giant map showed the cold hunters moving fast toward the core. No, we're here, Sarah said. They're coming to stop you. Jace nodded. Then we stopped them first. He activated the core's defenses. Large energy towers rose from the ground outside, pointing at the sky. Laser cannons rotated into position, humming with power. The core was now ready to fight. Suddenly the scanner flashed red. Dozens of cold hunters were surrounding the tower. Tall ones, fast ones, flying ones. A full army. This was their final move. They would not allow Jace to win. Get ready, Jace said, gripping his weapon. Sarah stood beside him, her eyes burning with courage. Vayna took position near the control panel, ready to fire from inside. The first wave came quickly. Explosions lit up the snow outside, machines screaming through the air. The tower shook, but it held strong. Jace aimed and fired, each shot hitting a machine with perfect aim. Sarah moved like lightning, blasting enemies from every side. Vayna controlled the cannons, guiding the fire like a commander born for war. But the cold hunters kept coming, wave after wave. Jace was hit by a falling beam, his shoulder bleeding. Sarah ran to him, pulling him to safety. Don't stop, she said. You are the key. Vayna joined them, tears in her eyes. We'll protect you, even if it kills us. Jace stood up again, his legs shaking. I'm not going to let them win, he said. He ran to the core console and placed both hands on it. The system responded, lights turning gold and white. Final activation in progress, the voice said. The core sent a shockwave across the land. Machines froze in place, their red eyes blinking. The old code had reached their systems. Some exploded, others fell to the ground without a sound. But the biggest one, a giant cold hunter with 6 arms, still stood. It charged toward the tower, breaking everything in its path. Jace looked at the screen. This one isn't controlled by the code, he said. It's pure rage. Sarah said, we'll have to destroy it. Vayna added. They climbed to the top of the tower, where the final cannon was stored. Jace powered it up, but the system needed a guide. Someone has to aim it from the outside, Sarah said. I'll do it, Jace said. No, both sisters said. Vayna grabbed his arm. You're too important, she said. Sarah stepped forward. Then let us do it, together. They ran outside while Jace stayed at the top, guiding the power. The giant machine reached the tower, its claws tearing into the walls. Vayna climbed its back, placing a charge near its power core. Sarah fired from below, distracting it. The machine roared, swinging its arms wildly. Vayna jumped off just as the charge exploded. The giant cold hunter fell to the ground in flames. Everything went quiet. No more enemies, no more signals, only snow falling once again. Jace rushed down and found the sisters in the snow. He pulled them into his arms, his voice shaking. You did it, he whispered. No, Sarah said. Smiling, we did it. Hours later, they sat near the core. Watching the stars through the open sky, the machines were gone. The war was over. Sarah leaned on Jace's left shoulder. Vayna leaned on his right. Both were quiet for a long time then, Sarah said softly. Our people believed in a protector. Vayna smiled. And now? We believe in you. Both sisters looked into his eyes. We want to stay with you, they said together. Jace looked at them, his heart full. I found you in the snow, he said. But now I've found something warmer. They all held hands under the stars. A new beginning had arrived, not just for them, but for 2 lost sisters, 1 human, and the future they would build together.